Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV, and I'm the editor here at MetaStellar. Every Friday, AMIRA and I read the top 10 free sci-fi and fantasy books on Amazon. And this is with me, AMIRA LOUTFI. She's our fiction reviews editor. And two of our other reviewers this week, Nick Narbutovsky and Alex KOROLOV, aren't here today, so I'm going to read their reviews for you. So we don't read the whole book. I mean, there's a lot of books. We read the first few chapters and we let you know whether we plan to keep reading or not. Today's list has all kinds of good stuff. It has sci-fi, it has romance, it has werewolves. Well, it always has werewolves. It's got cozy mysteries, it's got magic. So plenty of variety for everybody. And I'm going to keep reading a couple of the books at least. So some good stuff there. And okay, let's get into it. Oh, before we do, for those who are new to our channel, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free for our readers. We publish original fiction, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews. And we're able to do this thanks to the kind support of our Patreon donors. So thank you guys, we really appreciate it. And let's get into it. So I'm going to show the first cover of the book. Here it is, you see it there. The Pawn and the Knight by Skye Warren. This is actually two books. It's the first two books in the three-book The Endgame Trilogy romance series. The third book is $5 and it's not in Kindle Unlimited. And this is kind of a 50 Shades of Grey kind of book. So I couldn't see where the actual fantasy or sci-fi came in. Maybe it's a kind of a fairy tale retelling, not really clear. So in this first book, The Pawn, Avery James is 19 years old. Her father's just been convicted of a massive fraud. She has to figure out a way to pay his creditors and to pay for his medical care because one of the people he owed money to had him beaten up and he's seriously injured. So for help, she turns to the richest man in the city, Damon Scott. He's also the most powerful and the most dangerous. And she's got one thing to sell, her virginity. So he's going to auction it off. And I mean, this is super gross. I cannot keep reading it. But both this book and the second book in this box set were both on the USA Today bestseller list. So I guess people like it and it is free. So if this is your kind of thing, go check it out. Next, we have a book called The Last Stand by James Hunt. And it's a standalone book of EMP survival. And EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. It wipes out all electronics, but keeps all the people in buildings standing. So it's a standalone book, but the author has several other EMP survival books up on Amazon. And in fact, a few of them have been on this list. A Day to Fight and The Fallout from the EMP post-apocalyptic survival series have both made the top 10 list. Alex read this one. And he says it starts out the way all these books start out. People are going about their normal lives when suddenly all electronic devices stop working. And he says each of the first 4 chapters introduces a different character and describes what they're doing. And so he got bored with it. And he says he's not going to keep reading. He prefers it when the action starts a little bit faster. But if you're into EMP books or books about people trying to survive general breakdown of society, check it out. It is popular. Next is a book that AMIRA read, Symbiosis. Let me show it to you if I can zoom in for a second. There you go. You should be able to see it. This is the first of 12 books in the Justice Keepers saga. It's a space opera. The other books are $3 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. So AMIRA, what did you think of this book?
I liked it. I like the world building. It's very fast paced. There's just enough exposition to give it some meaning. And even though I don't read a lot of science fiction, I'm probably going to come back to it just because I enjoy the world. So what's so interesting about the world is that there are portals people can jump through. There's also human beings all over the galaxy who are, I don't know, who've attained like different levels of, I don't know, technological advancement. And then a justice keeper is kind of like a ward or a guardian. In this story, we begin in a scene where there is a fugitive running around with a Nasai. And a Nasai is like a device that can give you superpowers, basically. So he comes through a portal onto Earth, and he starts like fighting people and running around. And then right behind him, there is a justice keeper, and her name is Anna Lanai. And she's also got a Nasai, but legally, and it gives her superpowers. And she's like, also fighting, and it's cool and it's fun. Yeah, and she's trying to find this guy. She's trying to find this fugitive. So yeah, I'm into it.
All right. Okay, so next on the list is Isle of Winds. There you go. There you see it. It's by James Fahy, the first of 5 books in the Changeling young adult fantasy series. And I'm the one who read this one. The other books are $3 to $4 each, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited. So I don't usually like young adult fantasy books or young adult fantasy books or young adults, let's be honest. But I got into this one. So Robin is 12 years old. He lives with his eccentric grandmother in a bungalow in Manchester, so modern day England. And his grandma is a little eccentric. She has horseshoes up everywhere and a bunch of nails stuck into on the front porch, and it's kind of like weird superstitious stuff. And he's home one day watching television and eating spaghetti on toast. I guess that's a thing. And his grandmother is at a line dancing lesson when every single horseshoe in the house suddenly falls down. His grandmother had died of a heart attack right in the middle of a Dolly Parton classic 2-step. I love the details here. It's just really a kind of a dry British humor kind of thing. So I enjoyed this very much. And there's a parallel world. There's an evil kind of being looking for him. There's these evil dog-like shape-changing creatures after him. There's a mysterious girl who's on his side and trying to save him, who appears from nowhere while he's on a train going to his once existing relative. And she gives him a mysterious box and disappears again. It has really, really strong Harry Potter vibes. It's compulsively readable. And like I said, I don't usually like these kind of books, but I really liked it. And I've already ordered a print copy to give to my niece for her birthday because she's a huge Harry Potter fan. And I think she'll really like this book. All right, next we have Sprinkles and Sea Serpents. And let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger too. I don't know how. There we go. You'd think that after a year or 2 doing this, I'd know how to use Zoom by now, but no. All right, Sprinkles and Sea Serpents by Danielle Garrett, the first of 4 books in the Sugar Shack Witch Mysteries. It's a cozy paranormal mystery series. The other books are $3 to $5 each, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited. And Garrett's been on this list before. We reviewed her Witchy Whiskers book, the first of 4 books in the 9 Lives Magic cozy paranormal romantic mystery series. So Rosella Midnight is a journalist. I like the sound of that. She's out of a job, out of money. She's finally broken up with her on and off boyfriend. Her old Ford Focus is on its last legs. Her apartment lease is about to expire. All she's got is her cat, Karma. So she takes her cat and moves back home to Winterspell Lake in Washington State, which is a magical town. And of course, her childhood sweetheart's still around, and he's still just as handsome, even more handsome than before, still single. Her family bakery has a job for her. She wants to take on a few shifts. And of course, there's a mystery. Over the past few months, 3 young women have disappeared near the lake. And Rosella herself has magical powers. For example, she can talk to animals. And there's a mysterious curse on her, which is why she left the town in the first place. It's a perfect little cozy mystery. I'm looking forward to reading the book this weekend. I want to learn more about the curse. I like her family dynamics, and I'll probably be reading the rest of the series. This is my kind of book. This is just a perfect break from the news right now. So next we have The Snow by Flint Maxwell, another book that Alex read. This time it's a supernatural apocalypse, and it's the first of 5 books in the Whiteout series. The other books are $1 to $4 each, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited. So there's a creepy supernatural phenomenon. It's a story of survival. And Alex says that it's almost Independence Day, and Grady is hanging out at a lake house with a couple of friends. They're having drinks, relaxing. They meet their neighbors. Then in the middle of the night, they wake up, the world has changed. It's freezing. There's at least 6 inches of snow on the ground, and snow is still coming down. Electricity is out. Their phones have no signal. And so you'd think it was an EMP attack, but no, it's just normal supernatural craziness. So the neighbor's dad has gone crazy and killed their mom. And there's shadowy, mysterious figures out in the snow who seem almost human. So Alex says he liked this take on the apocalypse, and he plans to keep reading to find out what's happening with the snow and all those mysterious creatures. Next is a book that I read, Mind Over Magic by Lindsay Buroker, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's one of my favorite writers, and I love her 6-Figure Authors podcast, which I recommend highly if any of you want to become professional full-time authors. So Mind Over Magic is the first of 5 books in the paranormal romantic mystery series, A Witch in Wolf Wood. The other books are $2 to $4 each. They're all in Kindle Unlimited. The 5th book is due out tomorrow. So she's been on this list before, and I had high hopes for this book, even though there's a werewolf in it. So I don't usually like werewolf books. And so if you just read the description, you may be like, ah. So I start reading. Morgan Keller is a database programmer. She's laid off from her job. Her husband leaves her and takes the house. She's got a dog and a little bit of savings and some property left to her by her grandmother in a small town in Washington State. So very common premise. When she gets there, she learns her grandmother's a witch. She's inherited her magic. You know, it's a magical town. In fact, it sounds a lot like the book 2 books back, and a lot like a dozen other books we've read over the past year. But I like this one. I like this one a lot. And one of the best things I liked about this book, and I would keep reading just for this alone, is that when Morgan first gets to her grandmother's house and there's a werewolf there who chases her away, she calls her sister, a biologist, to learn more about werewolves. And her sister tells her that she's crazy, but gives her a little background on wolves. And the sister tells her that there's no such thing as alpha and beta wolves. That's a common myth. Wolves just have parents and children like normal animals, and the parents boss the kids around. I love this. Finally, a werewolf story that doesn't have alphas and betas in it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But more than that, I love the main character. I love the premise. I like the cozy mystery. I like the writing style. I was 10 chapters in before I remembered that I had other books to read today, and I should probably stop reading and get going on the rest of them. I love everything about this book. I'm definitely going to keep reading, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to read every other book in the series. All right, next is a book that's not it. This one? Yes, Beauty's Cursed Sleep by Mary Twomey. The first of 3 books in a Cursed Beauty romantic fairy tale retelling series. The other books are $5 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And AMIRA, you read this one. Now we've also had a bunch of other books by this author on the list. In February, we reviewed The Vampire City, and then the Fate books, and then Beauty and the Professor. And I think you probably read all of them, right?
Maybe.
It all blends together, right? What'd you think of this one?
So this one I thought was good. I thought it was good. I'm probably not going to come back to it, but it was enjoyable. You know what? I might come back to it. I might. Like sometimes I really can't tell which ones I'll come back to. So basically, you know, it's about Sleeping Beauty. Eventually, the protagonist here is going to prick her finger on a spinning wheel and fall into a deep slumber. Her name is Rory. She's the daughter of a high-ranking official within the magical community. One day, she's going to take his place and become some type of leader. So, in other words, within this world, she's kind of like royalty. Every month, she has to talk to a jerk over the phone. He's also high-ranking, and he just asks her about her magical abilities and whether or not she's come into them yet. And the answer is always no, she hasn't. And that guy hates her, and his son loves her. She's 24 years old, and she's going to turn 25 in 4 months. The curse that she's under says that when she's 25, that's when it's going to happen. That's when she's going to prick her finger and fall into a deep slumber, right? So the way that she's been coping, I guess, with this knowledge, basically that her life is going to end at 25, is just overworking, serving others. She started a charitable foundation. Yeah, and at one point, 4 months before she's going to prick her finger, she's like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go spend some time in my friend's cabin. And her friend is a prince. So this is kind of a weird world. I don't entirely understand the world. It's definitely an urban fantasy, but then there's like royalty. There's like a prince, and there's her. She's kind of like royalty, even though she's not. I don't think she's a princess. So she decides she wants to go for like a vacation in her friend's cabin without the key, which means she has to break in. And that's something that gets her kind of excited. When she breaks in, the alarm goes off and a stranger jumps in through the window and he pins her to the wall. And then he realizes that she's royalty. And he's like, oh, what are you doing? You know, you're, basically royalty in this world. So then she finds out that, like, he's a sweetie. He turns out to be a sweetie. And her friend, the prince, tells her, you know what? That guy is really dangerous. You probably should stay away from him. So, I mean, it's kind of, the tone is kind of serious. it's an urban fantasy. It doesn't entirely make sense to me. I'm not sure that it has to or that it should make sense. I think that you'd probably like if you in I think you could read the whole book enjoying it without it really having to make sense, right? So I think that I probably won't come back just because I feel the plot devices are a bit weak. And the motivation for breaking and entering the cabin was kind of weak, right? And then also it's like there's the random guy who's dangerous, but he's really sweet at the same time. I wasn't impressed by him, so I probably won't come back. Maybe I will. I don't know. So there you go.
All right. Okay, next we have Almond City Ashes by Connie Chappell, the fifth and last book in a Ren Grayson mystery series. I think it's paranormal, but I have to say, I'm the one who read it. I haven't seen any signs of paranormal yet. I'm a few chapters in. So the other books are $3 each, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited. Ren Grayson, the protagonist, is a mayor's assistant in a small town in Ohio. And her hours have been cut in half because of the economic crisis. And she's also a historian. So she's picking up extra income from freelance gigs. And she's been hired to do some research on somebody who recently died. So there's a lot of backstory here and stuff that's happening with the small town politics and her friends and other stuff that seems to be related to previous books. So I try not to pay too much attention to it. And the story builds really, really slowly. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff happening in town with votes happening with the city council, and the historical research assignment is getting pretty involved. And at some point there's a murder. And it moves really, really, really slowly, but I really liked it. It's one of those kind of cozy, slow moving mysteries, kind of like a Murder, She Wrote mystery. I haven't seen any signs of the paranormal. Maybe a ghost will show up later. I don't know. I'm going to have to read on and see. And there's a good chance I will, especially because all the books are in Kindle Unlimited. And the last book is also one that I read. Let's see if I can make it bigger for you guys. Yeah, there you go. Blood and Ash by Deborah Wilde. And this is the second week in a row it's on our list. And Nick reviewed it last week, and he said it's snarky and funny. It's about a private eye, and she's hired to find a missing girl and track her down and bring her home because she's getting in trouble. And he likes it. The only problem he had with it is that it maybe was a little too much sass. But it was fast-paced, gritty, with a noir vibe, political intrigue. And he says that it's the kind of book that he would continue reading it, even though he's not a huge urban fantasy fan. So after I read that review last week, I got interested in the book and picked it up, and I loved it. As far as I was concerned, it had just the right amount of sass. It reminded me of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files. So it's an urban fantasy. This one is really, really well paced. The world building is fantastic. Plenty of action, compelling mystery, lots of great characters. And if the rest of the books were in Kindle Unlimited, I'd probably have already read them. But since they cost between $5 and $7 each, I'm kind of holding off on buying them. I still might. And if I see them on sale, I'll definitely pick them up. I really like them, highly recommend it. And that's it for today's top 10 list. Have you read any of these books? Let us know in the comments below. And I wanted to thank our sponsors before we go from Patreon. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. The link to the article and to our Patreon supporter page is in the description below. You can also get MetaStellar t-shirts and all the other stuff. We recently closed our spring submission cycle for original science fiction and fantasy short stories, and we'll be publishing those over the next couple of months. So keep an eye out for those. And meanwhile, we always have fresh science fiction and fantasy that's reprints that you probably haven't seen before. So it's probably new to you. And that's on our site all the time. And again, the links are down below. So if there's anything else that you guys want us to read, let us know in the comments. And if you want to join us and be part of our team to review books or to write columns or to help out on this channel, well, it's plenty of other stuff that we can have you do. Trust me, there's a lot of work to go around. Just let me know. My email's in the description box below as well. And thanks, AMIRA, for joining me. And I'll see you again next week.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. If you like this kind of content, hit the like and the subscribe button, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.
Bye.